This week, a deadly subway station shooting. Plus, a man who residents say has been terrorizing a community is arrested. And
now it just seems like a tsunami of crime and shootings.
A teacher in a middle school is shot in the hand. Right now, Fox 5's Crime in the City. For our first story, we begin in Brooklyn, where one person has died and 4 others were injured in a shooting at New York City's West Indian American Day Parade.
Briella Tomasetti is in Crown Heights this morning. What do you know, Briella?
Yeah, this is absolutely an update. Rosanna and Dan, good morning to both of you. We're getting word from police that the 25-year-old man who was shot in the abdomen yesterday right along this parade route has died. We're told he was initially in critical condition, then stabilized, but then passed away later due to complications. And police do have a suspect description. At this point, they say they're looking for a man in his 20s with a slim build who was last seen wearing a brown shirt with paint stains and a black bandana. He fired his gun, according to police, numerous times into that crowd. Members of the massive crowd began running away in panic and ducking for cover. Music drowned out the barrage of gunfire at yesterday's West Indian Day Parade after a gunman shot 5 people, leaving a 25-year-old man dead. Investigators say the suspect is still on the run.
This was an intentional act by one person towards a group of people.
According to the NYPD, the shooting happened just after 2:30 between Classen and Franklin Avenues. The suspect allegedly got on a cement divider between the service road and parade route and opened fire on a crowd of revelers. Cops say a 69-year-old woman was hit in the shoulder, a 64-year-old man was struck in the arm, a 36-year-old man in the head, a 25-year-old in the abdomen, and a 16-year-old in the arm. The man who was shot in the abdomen later died from his injuries. The other victims are listed in stable condition.
There is an abundance of video that was on that corner in that group.
This security camera footage from a nearby business shows the chaos as it unfolded. You can see a group of people running away from the gunfire with several officers heading in the other direction. Police believe the shooting followed some sort of dispute, but it's unclear who the intended targets were. The parade went on as scheduled despite the disruption. Police placed evidence markers near bullet casings and searched from above using drones, all while thousands of people continued taking part in the festivities. The NYPD announced tightened security measures ahead of the event, which has been marred by violence in the past. In 2015, Carrie Gabay, an aide to former Governor Andrew Cuomo, was shot and killed during a gang shootout. In 2016, 2 people were killed and several others were injured in multiple shootings and stabbings. Last year, at least 2 people were shot and another person was slashed in the arm. And now officials have vowed to hold the person responsible for this year's violence accountable.
We are going to solve this, but it's going to take a lot of work.
Senator Chuck Schumer marched in the parade. He posted about the shooting after hearing that it happened. He posted his emotions, his reactions to X, writing in part, "Thank you to our first responders on the scene. I pray for everyone affected. We must keep working to end gun violence in America." Again, though, our update this morning, a 25-year-old man is now confirmed dead as a result of the shooting on what was supposed to be such a joyous occasion here in Brooklyn.
We now travel to Ocean Hill in Brooklyn, where the NYPD is searching for the suspect who shot and killed a man inside a subway station.
Police are searching for a gunman who shot and killed a man at a Brooklyn subway station.
Good day's Briella Tomasetti is at the Rockaway Avenue station. It's in Ocean Hill with the details on this investigation. Briella, looks like they're still searching for this suspect. Good morning.
Yeah, they are. Dan Zashani, good morning to both of you. Police, though, have identified the victim just this morning as 47-year-old Freddie Weston of Crown Heights. The search for the gunman, as you mentioned, still ongoing. Police say they're canvassing video from the subway station itself and from the surrounding areas with hopes that will help lead them to an arrest. It was another violent night in the transit system. This time, a 47-year-old man was shot to death at a subway station in Brooklyn.
It's been regular for people to get shot here all the time.
Police say they received calls for shots fired at the Rockaway Avenue station in Ocean Hill at around 11:15 last night. When officers arrived on scene, they found the victim, who cops have now identified as Freddie Weston, on the mezzanine level near the C train with a gunshot wound to his head. He was taken to Brookdale Hospital, where he died from his injuries.
I don't feel really safe at this point.
Police are also still looking for the person or people responsible for killing 25-year-old Denzel Chan of Texas and injuring 4 others at this weekend's West Indian Day parade in Crown Heights. In an interview on Good Day New York, the NYPD's Deputy Commissioner of Operations, Kaz Daughtry, said police are investigating whether there were multiple gunmen.
We don't have an identification on the individual, but we have a couple of people that we like. We think there's more than one person that was actually shooting.
The NYPD took 31 guns off the street and made 35 arrests on Labor Day weekend. And despite the deadly pair of shootings, new crime statistics released by the department show that crime was down by 6.4% citywide in August compared to last year.
When you look at August in terms of violence, the least amount of violence we had since the modern era of our crime stat, 31 years. 74 shooting incidents, which is still a lot, but it was the lowest ever in August.
Those numbers also show that, discounting the COVID years, 2024 is the 3rd safest year on record for subway crime in New York. Riders, though, don't quite see it that way.
I hear all the time people getting stabbed, pushed onto trains. Like, it's crazy, something every day.
A lot of people use the subway every day. And that's just life. That's life in New York, but it's scary.
According to the NYPD, more than 60% of shootings in the city are gang-related. Police believe that the parade shooting was also tied to gang activity. It's unclear what led up to this one here at the subway station in Brooklyn.
Up in Flushing, Queens, a woman loses her life after being stabbed multiple times on her body and neck.
Well, a woman in Queens has died after getting stabbed multiple times. It happened on Casino Boulevard in Flushing around 6 o'clock tonight. Officers found the female victim with numerous stab wounds on her body and neck. She was taken to New York Presbyterian Queens Hospital, where she later died. One suspect was taken into custody. The investigation is ongoing.
Over in the Fordham Heights section of the Bronx, a teacher is shot in the hand by what is believed to be a stray bullet inside of a classroom.
Bronx this morning, a teacher preparing for the first day of school tomorrow was shot.
Yeah, police say that the bullet came from outside the school. Arthur Chian is live in Fordham Heights with the latest on the hunt now for a suspect. Arthur.
That hunt continues right now, Steve, Natasha. They do not have anybody in custody. They identified the victim as a 33-year-old male teacher shot on the top floor of this school. He was rushed to the hospital. He is expected to be okay, but parents tell us the fact that the violence has begun before their students even report to school has them very worried tonight.
Did you hear the shots?
Yeah, I could hear it from my window.
How many did you hear?
3.
You knew it was gunfire?
Well, it sounded louder than fireworks. Yeah.
Maylene Bettis was home when she heard gunshots go off outside MS 391 on Folan Street in the Fordham Heights section of the Bronx. At least one bullet went through a window at the school, hitting a teacher in his hand.
This bullet was not fired from inside the school. And at this point of the investigation, we believe it was fired from a long distance away. The school was not targeted.
2 teachers were in the classroom at the time, and while school starts tomorrow, so no students were in the building today, teachers were on site prepping for the start of the year. Immediately after the shooting, police combed over a nearby apartment complex, believing that's where the shots may have come from.
You have to be careful with all this stuff activity that's going on in that building, a lot of drug activity.
Parents getting ready to send their kids off to school tomorrow are shaken, as are other residents on this block.
My son going back to school tomorrow, and it feels like hurt, you know?
It's worrying us because we both hear what is happening. Some other state, something like this, crazy.
It's crazy. It's unsafe in school.
We don't know how safe our kids are going to school, going to the grocery store. Now it just seems like a tsunami of crime and shootings.
A police source tells us no 911 calls were reportedly made outside of the school during the time of the shooting, making it harder for them to zero in on where the original shot was fired from. Still, they are trying to find that location by going roof to roof in this neighborhood. The Department of Education says they'll have extra resources here tomorrow, as well as the police department.
We now head to the Upper West Side, where a 26-year-old man was punched and slashed in the face inside a subway station. This morning, searching for the suspect in a subway slashing. This happened on the Upper West Side.
Police say that suspect got into an argument with a 26-year-old victim inside the West 72nd Street and Broadway subway station Friday afternoon. The suspect then reportedly punched and slashed the victim in his face. The victim is listed in stable condition. If you have any information, call Crime Stoppers at number 800-577-TIPS.
And finally, we end in Sunnyside, Queens, where a man has been arrested after residents accused him of being a menace to their community for 2 years.
It's a story you'll see only on Fox 5. A man arrested in Sunnyside, Queens, where people say he's been terrorizing their community for years.
Fox 5's Arthur Chian talked to some very relieved neighbors about what they've been through.
This guy have us suffering and shaking. I just welcome.
Residents of 4319 39th Place in Sunnyside, Queens welcomed us in tears following the arrest of their neighbor, David Ock. Cell phone video obtained by Fox 5 shows the arrest of the man Friday. As NYPD officers tried to detain him, it turned violent. Ock pushes a police officer against the wall. The officer hit his head and had to be hospitalized. After an intense struggle, other officers arrive and finally overpower the suspect. Police now confirmed to Fox 5 Ock has been arrested for a number of charges, including assault, menacing, harassment, drug possession with intent to sell, and multiple counts of vandalism.
There was a brick through the window, and I said, who would do this?
The story was brought to our attention by a Fox 5 employee whose identity we are withholding for safety purposes. 2 weeks ago, he arrived home to find his car and 2 others vandalized. Other neighbors described to us 2 years of what they call menacing, deranged behavior on the part of the 34-year-old, showing us pictures of 2 meat cleavers he allegedly tossed through his window, shattering windows on the other side of the alley, and gave us a picture of a BB gun they say he used to destroy glass doorways on the block. Neighbors also say twice police have come to arrest Ock but didn't see him, and Friday, residents led the charge.
We saw him in the street, and then we just called, we followed the instructions that the police gave us. We called 911.
Police tell us Ock has a history of arrests, beginning with nonviolent charges, including petty larceny, going back to 2015. And he was wanted for 4 separate incidents since just this July, and that was before appearing to shove that officer during Friday's arrest.
For those who live in this building and on this block, they tell us they have 2 main concerns right now. The first is for their own safety if the suspect is released and angry with them. But they also say they're concerned about the well-being of the suspect.
I just hope he gets the help he needs, now that the police have him.
While Ock will now face a judge, those who live on this block are waiting anxiously to see if the peace they now feel lasts.
That's this week's Crime in the City. Subscribe for more at youtube.com/Fox5NY.